A Palmer Vietnam veteran and active veteran rights advocate, William Byrnes of Bondesville, known to some of us as Papa, got the surprise of his life one weekend when Chuck Pherigo pulled into his driveway. Billy had been searching for his friend for 47 years after the two went their separate ways following the war. Finally, one day after endless dead ends, Billy was able to contact Chuck through the phone, thinking that would be the end of it. But Chuck was determined to see his buddy, his brother, who took care of him when he was only a teenager fighting for our country. Now, 47 years later, the two are reunited and their story continues.
We both were in the United States Army, the 9th Infantry Division in Vietnam. And Chuck arrived in November of '67. And he went through the whole Tet experience, the Tet Offensive experience, and I arrived in February of '68, and shortly after that we hooked up, and he was in my platoon.
Yeah, they had a tradition, I guess, of if you've been there for a while, you always kind of looked after the new guys coming in. But also after a certain period of time, you didn't want to have anything to do with anybody that new coming in. But me and Billy was just like, that was it. He was my brother and like a big brother. I was 18 years old, you know, and he was in the medic corps. And you don't want to say, hey medic, you know, I'm hit, you know, and meet somebody that way. We just met back in the barracks, and it seemed like we'd always known each other, and you know, I don't know how we met or when we met, but it didn't matter because the meeting wasn't, from then on it was, we had a bond from the very beginning. He always looked out for his men, and I tried to look out for the people I was with, and you saw Billy, you saw me, you know, and so it was really great to have someone like that.
47 years.
47?
Yeah, 1960.
He was looking for me, but I wasn't on anybody's roster. I wasn't, like, you know,
yeah.
You'd look up records and stuff, and I wasn't there, you know, and so there was no way to get a hold of me. And I told Billy, it's just like, I'm finally coming home.
Well, I have a friend in Ohio. He was a sergeant in our platoon, and he's I personally been looking for Chuck since I left there, asking about him, looking about him, and the guy from Ohio made some phone calls, pulled some stuff up, and I got a hold of Chuck's daughter, and through his daughter we got a hold of him, and yeah, took a little bit, but he called me, and like I said, that was a month ago or something like that. I had never knew where he was or anything like that, and first thing he says, I'm coming to see you. So he drives.
I said, don't ask me to come see you, because I will.
So you drove all the way from Texas in your truck?
Yeah, I could have made it.
How long did it take you?
Well, I could have made it in 2, but I slowed down. I had a little dealings with New York's finest, you know, on their highways, but, you know, they're doing their job, so.
Putting together the pieces one by one, memories of the good times.
We also had good times over there, Darce. We're always up to something, you know, doing something, you know.
Billy made me do it.
Yeah, I usually got most
of the blame. It didn't take much pushing for
No, yeah, we had the fun times, you know, that broke it up quite a bit. You know, you take your mind off different things and stuff like that. One of the main things I remembered about Chuck over there was we were, you know, going through the heavy stuff, Nippapalm or something like that, and they had a big problem with red ants. They used to hang from the trees, and they would bite like a razor sharp claws. One lands on his arm, and he's standing there, he's just looking at it, biting them. And I'm saying, what are you doing? Yeah, and those are, you know, some of the funny things.
And bad. like the day that still remains foggy to both.
That was tough.
That was a bad day. Yeah, it's early in the morning, and I think we went on a little patrol that morning. We come back, we were kind of setting up like for grab something to eat or something.
Yeah,
and
we were off the boat. We
were on the Mobile Riverine Force with the Navy, and like 6:30 in the morning, I heard banging and booming, and then I thought I heard somebody yell ground attack, and I really didn't know what happened. I was actually had C4 explosive, and we used to heat our cans up with that. And I just went to light it, and all of a sudden, I didn't really know what happened from then until I get up and I started patching people up. And Chuck was one of the first ones I was patching up, and as I was doing it, he said, "Doc, you're bleeding." And we went and made it through the day. And
well, there's some names on the wall that didn't come back from that day.
Yeah, it was pretty tough.
And we share that, so.
The people, you really didn't know who you were dealing with most of the time, So you were on guard 24/7. Sleep with one eye open if you did sleep. And it was out in the field. It was mud, leeches, snakes, everything. You name it. It's and we did a lot of helicopter assaults. I don't know. Chuck must have did it probably 100 or something. Maybe I did like 75, maybe.
The two were awarded a Purple Heart for that very day.
They have like a little formation outside of the barracks, and they award. All I was told was, get cleaned up. You got to go out in the field out there.
And that means bravery and.
Yeah. Mine was. I have a Bronze Star with a V for Valor for bravery, and a Purple Heart. And Chuck was Purple Heart, and numerous other medals and stuff like that. But back then, Darcy, it didn't really mean a whole lot right there. And it didn't really mean a lot for the next 30 years or something like that, I don't even remember showing my parents pulling them out or nothing back then.
Now we both have a Bronze Star, combination medals and air medals, and we were doing what we were doing, and somebody back in headquarters wrote the stuff up, so
yeah,
it means a lot to me that I have those, and I bled for my country, and I think it does to Billy too. I know it does, but there's a lot of guys that wouldn't have made it back if Billy hadn't have patched them up. And he saw a whole lot more than I did, He saw everybody that he was taking care of, what they went through with their wounds and stuff, because I wouldn't have traded places with him on that, but I'd backed him up and been there anytime.
Oh yeah, they always had the medics backs, them and the cooks. They always went up like that.
Chuck says the silence is finally broken. Vietnam veterans are just now starting to express the pain they've endured mentally and physically.
Oh yeah. That, like I said, a lot of people you didn't want to get to know because they wouldn't be there sometimes, and you didn't want to have to say goodbye to someone and get to know them and that kind of deal. But I was in the jungle, and I was in Tet, and I was on the helicopters, and I was on the boats, and it was just. Right now, people are starting to talk about their experience, and we had a lot of stuff go on that your mind blanks out. You don't know. But I knew Billy, and I knew Billy from day one. And we first met, like when we first met, there was a bond there, and after when we left, I did 365 days. I never left the country. I was there. I pulled point the last 2 weeks I was in country, and the day before I was to leave, I caught a deuce and a half back to Tonsanute Air Force Base and got on the plane and left, and I didn't say goodbye to anybody.
You know, myself and Chuck and the rest of the Vietnam veterans, a lot of therapy and a lot of support from friends and basically, you know, people, and you know, it kind of blended in right up until now, you know, because it's a pretty good feeling now to be recognized like we had Welcome Home Vietnam Veterans proclamation read last night at town council, and I introduced Chuck, and it was pretty special to me at that point, you know.
But finally reunited, having some fun, they made their way to the tattoo shop for Chuck's first ink.
Chuck just had a nice remembrance of our outfit. He just got that the other day, Darcy.
Yeah, it's still scabbing up.
Wow.
Yeah.
And
First tattoo.
what does that mean, that symbol?
That is our division patch. Well, you can, in our company.
A Company, 4th Battalion, 39th Infantry, Mekong Delta, Riverine Force, 67 and 68. And that's the old reliables, but
Yeah.
they called us the hardcore recondo, and I don't know that I was hardcore recondo. I just know I was there, and I knew what was going on 50 yards on either side of me, and that's what counted, you know.
Yeah.
We did a lot of night ambushes. We did a lot of moving around. We engaged the enemy several times, you know. And Tet was really bad.
I think I showed you my tattoo for my division and stuff, Darcy. Well, that's 9th Infantry Division, 1968, or reliables, and a few jungle trees are on it, and I had my awards on this one.
Very cool.
Mm.
Very cool.
My daughters think it's pretty neat that I'm 65 and getting my first tat, and I said, well, you know, I don't know that I'll ever get another one, but I wanted to put it where you can see it.
Billy also called some more friends over, a small prelude to their upcoming reunion.
We also had our platoon leader. He lives in Rhode Island. He was here with us the other day. So we had the three of us here. We're all headed to San Antonio April 2nd for a reunion. We have a reunion every 2 years. We've been Salt Lake City, Albuquerque, Nashville, every place.
The two say they have found some peace and are grateful they've never forgot each other after all these years.
Else around here
Yeah.
knew how he was looking for me. He
Yeah.
carried my name. I said he honored me. He kept me alive in that sense. You know, he kept my memory, and
A true
You know.
friend.
yeah.
Went
Well,
since
the main thing was always saying, I think this happened, but, and I said, yes, it happened, you know.
yeah.
And the same with him. I said, I can't remember. And he said, well, don't you, you know, you were, and it's just right back. I told Billy, I said, when I get up there, Billy, I can do this. I got a picture Mike Hart posted of me on the boats, and I'm looking back, and I'm going, like, everything's cool, man, I'm cool,
Yeah.
you know. I said, I'm going to put you back in that moment, Billy. I'm going to put you right back there. It's like the world is ours, and we're in our khakis again, and we're drinking beer with the chaplain, and, you know, having church. And
I believe I'm in the twilight zone because I cannot believe this is happening, and I think Chuck's probably got the same feeling.
yeah.
But it is happening, and we thank you for sharing it with us.
And a nice message to all.
And, well, I want to say one thing for sure, that now's the time to, if you know a vet, you know, let him come home. You'll see the Vietnam vets welcoming the guys back home and out there, you know. And like I say, let them come home.
I'm Darcy Fortune, M-PACT TV.